Well, welcome back, friends. Hopefully you got a minute to get yourself a coffee, but because this could be a long night. Taking a look across the state of Oklahoma, several severe thunderstorm warnings already. There's a couple out toward Elk City, but what we are really looking at, are down by Lawton. Joel, if we could zoom in down to those Lawton storms. This storm that we looked at just 10 minutes ago is starting to split. You can see further north heading toward Chickasha is that northern part of that storm, and then that storm also broke down in south. Perfect. Thank you for replaying this. You can see that it's starting to split. Now, the storm headed further north, which will most likely impact campus, is more of a hail threat. And the storm further toward the south, we call it a right-moving supercell. This one will have a higher potential for a tornado. Can we actually zoom in on that? Because that might be a hook. Zoom in on the Duncan storm. And then flip to velocity, please. So what I'm looking at right here is just south of the Duncan word. You can see it looks like it's trying to curl. Now this typically, not really anything on velocity. Go ahead and flip back to reflectivity. Is that storm relative?
Your storm relative, right?
Okay. Yeah, maybe. So what we're looking at right now is the velocity. Up above my head is our radar station here, just north of us here in Norman. And typically the green is winds headed toward the radar station, red is headed away. And when you see these red and green start to smash together, that's where we see those circulations taking place. Now, I don't necessarily think that's what's happening here. Can we zoom in a little tighter on that, please? It might be trying to spin on the backside. Right now, if there is any circulation, it's fairly weak, but we have been monitoring these storms for the last couple of days, specifically as they have popped up over the last hour or two. We've been keeping an eye on them. And our atmosphere is pretty primed to have some tornadoes possibly spin up. So it's not completely out of the question whether or not this storm is spinning, but it doesn't necessarily look like it is right now. If we could hop back to reflectivity for me, please. You can see lots of pink coming out here, though. Big hail threat. We do have Duncan reporting hail up to 1.3 inches. That has been falling probably for the last 10 minutes or so. I believe we have hail swath if you can get that pulled up and then run it through replay. So this is a possible hail tracker. You can see as it's gone up from Walters toward the north and east, plenty of hail possible with this now. We do have reports in Duncan, so there's definitely hail falling on that southern tip of it, but it's kind of hard to say whether or not there's been hail because I don't believe we have any hail reports. We do have hail reports from the northern side. So this storm is producing hail. So as I mentioned, if your car's not already in a garage, now would be a great time to do it, but I have heard that the garages are already filling up. We'll have a live reporter out in just a little bit to give you an update on the parking situation, but time is just about now. Go ahead and flip back to reflectivity for me, please. All right, so if we could go a little bit further north, you can see what I mentioned earlier. The storm is starting to split. There's kind of a weak region of rain just north of Marlowe. And again, you can see even stronger hail starting to develop on the northern side of that split. And again, that's most likely what it's heading toward campus. This further cell looks like it's going to head through Lindsay and Purcell. What do we have forward speed on this? 35 miles per hour still, roughly?
No, 45. Sorry.
45. So 45 miles per hour, I'm going to guess it's about 25 to 35 miles away. So that gives us roughly 30 minutes, a little less. So start having your severe weather plan in place as these storms continue to make their way off toward the north and east. Of course, they're going to affect the Oklahoma City metro area. Now what I'm looking at is this severe thunderstorm warning looks like it might even miss us off towards the west, and we might actually get this bigger cell moving over Norman. Of course, we'll continue to monitor this storm as it makes its way further toward campus area. Nothing more to report on that as of right now. Let's go ahead and flip back over to velocity then real quick, see if we have any spinning going on with either of these storms. Oh, that looks like it could be. That's kind of hard to tell because of the location, but if you could zoom in on that. Can you flip back to reflectivity for me real quick, please? Yeah, so this is probably on the northern edge of this storm. You can see this is kind of, I think that might be anticyclonic. Basically, the storm is rotating clockwise instead of counterclockwise like we typically see here in the northern hemisphere. If we can flip back to velocity, because it's going to be right there if there is any velocity on that at all. I'll come over to you in just a second, Taylor. Can we flip to velocity real quick on this? Yeah, that might be a little too far north. It's kind of hard to tell right now, but it definitely looks to be tightening. Taylor King had some information over on our weather center. Taylor, what do you have for us?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Sam. So using the other radar that we have over in Frederick, we can actually see that there is rotation a little bit better. So it's kind of in that spot where it's in between both radars. And fun fact, radars don't see the Earth flat. They actually go up at an angle. So you'll actually have to see it higher up in the atmosphere, which is why sometimes you have to jump around radars to get a better view. So that is why we can see the rotation a little bit better on the Frederick radar than we can on the Norman radar. Sam?
Is that with the northern storm or the southern storm?
Northern.
Northern storm. So possibly, I don't know if NWS chat has mentioned anything as of now, but it is possible we could see a tornado warning come out with this relatively soon. Again, it is hard to tell. Can you flip over to the Frederick velocity for me real quick? A great point to what Taylor said is that these radar beams come out at an angle heading upwards. And so the Frederick radar being a little bit closer is going to have a lower scan of the atmosphere versus our radar station here just north of us in the Oklahoma City, Norman area. Yeah, it looks like it could be tighter. So we might have rotation higher up in the storm trying to make its way down. If we flip back to KTLX, please. So it looks like at least it's trying to spin upper levels. That looks fairly impressive to me. If you could zoom in on that a little bit more, please.
Which one?
That northern storm. So the other thing to mention when we're looking at velocity is the strength of the colors. This green, it actually looks like it's weakening right now, which could be trying to recycle, or it's running into something that it can't spin anymore. So we could lose our tornado threat. We'll just have to continue to watch the storm. But as I was mentioning, the brighter the colors, the stronger the winds. Of course, green heading towards the radar station, the closer to white it gets, the stronger that'll be. And heading away, the closer to orange it gets, the stronger those winds will be. Now, can you flip back to reflectivity and throw this in a loop for the last hour or so? Maybe 30 minutes might be better. Yeah, you can see this storm kind of intensified pretty quickly after the split. If you could drag us a little further south, please, Joel. Yeah, so it's hard to tell, but again, being so far from the radar station, the scan on the southern side of this Duncan storm is hitting way higher up than it is on the storm further just to the north of Marlow heading toward Chickasha. But this storm really, both of these cells intensified after the split, which is pretty common to see as storms make their way through Oklahoma. This is a pretty typical Oklahoma supercell type setup. You can see a pretty large pink area right in the middle of that storm north of Marlow. That could be indicative of some pretty intense hail. Do we have any other hail reports as of recent, or are we still sitting on the 1.3?
We are still sitting on the 1.3.
We just got an update that we obviously see those two different cells. The northern one, the left slit that you mentioned, has that large hail threat still, so that's going to continue. In addition, there's also weak cyclonic rotation, which you had mentioned with that southern cell, but they definitely keep an eye on that because there's a chance for that to change.
Right, and there seems to be, Sam, I'm looking at the radar on that southern cell. Looks like it is trying to develop somewhat of an inflow notch at the southern part of Duncan. So definitely something to keep an eye on for sure.
Joel, could you explain what the inflow notch is for our viewers at home?
So the inflow notch is a part of the storm, or part of the supercell storm that you see on radar. That kind of gives you that you see on radar where you get that hook shape. And basically inside that hook, you're getting inflow, which is the air feeding into the rotation going into the storm, and you can see that on radar as a hook. So right in that hook is that inflow notch that we see.
Awesome, thank you, Joel. Can you throw the reflectivity back into replay for me real quick, and then we'll come back over to you. Something to mention, okay, so this isn't, sometimes what you'll see with these supercells is a storm will develop out in front of the line and get pulled into it, and what Joel was saying with the inflow notch is that's what that looks like. Alexa, you have something over at the weather desk. Let's go over there real quick.
Quick update. The southern cell that we were talking about has a clear base, but nothing has dropped from that yet. And also, the system out in Elk City, which we're not currently focused on, does have some stronger rain and pea-sized hail, a little bit of lightning. And also, they had mentioned a new severe threat coming for the west of that southern complex. So just keep an eye on that. That's going to come up shortly.
Yeah, so I was actually going to mention, so that storm near Duncan, that one that is splitting apart, if we look quickly at reflectivity, kind of in that forward flank, so you have your hook echo and then you have that little splay of colors out in front of it, that's your forward flank. So you can kind of see that there's a higher DBZ, so there's more brighter colors ahead of that. So there's likely some hail kind of up ahead of this storm as well as it's moving up to the north and to the east. So it is possible that we could see another severe thunderstorm warning associated with this. So we could kind of see two severe thunderstorm warnings right next to each other, one for hail as the northern part starts to split more, and then one for that southern part as it goes in two separate directions.
Something just to add to, Sam, you want to keep a note of this too. In the southern cell where those regions are of that darker pink, there's currently that's where that largest hail threat is going to be. And Duncan, they're actually actively seeing hail right now, not as large as what we were seeing, pea and mixed with quarter size.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexa. And as I mentioned, we see this as becoming a splitting supercell. You can see basically right through the middle. If you cut it in half with a knife, that's where our two cells are starting to develop at. Again, this southern storm, it's pretty impressive. Might be trying to rotate in down to the southern side and then further up toward the north. Again, that's the cell we're currently watching in terms of storms heading toward the campus area. If you also have any questions, be sure to drop them into the chat. We will answer them the best that we can. Now, Taylor over at the weather desk has something. Taylor, what do you got for us?
Okay, so just to kind of help explain how volatile our atmosphere is, currently right now we now have a, let me look at that tag real quick. It is a tornado possible destructive tag. So down in the DFW area, so there, since it is the weekend, some OU students may be down there, so just keep that in mind. But this storm, it is tornado possible tag, which means that it is rotating and it is a destructive tag. So that is pretty high up. It means that it is going to cause damage. Now, considerable will be the highest, I do believe, if my memory serves me.
Catastrophic.
Catastrophic, excuse me. So that destructive tag, think of it as your PDS tornado warning. And then if it goes to catastrophic, that is your tornado emergency equivalent. So think of the destructive severe thunderstorm warning tag as that PDS. You need to start taking your precautions, even if you're not here in Norman.
And they just issued that second severe thunderstorm warning for the region that we were just talking about earlier. There is hail of 1 inch and winds less than 50 miles per hour at the moment, but there's a chance for that to increase as we continue into the next minutes or so.
Yeah, and that includes Garvin County, Grady County, and Stevens County, to note.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Joel, if we could zoom out to a regional view, we'll give the viewers a little bit of a broader view of what we are seeing. Now, of course, we're watching these storms for the Oklahoma City and Norman area over the next probably hour or so as they continue to push up there. If we could zoom out a little more, again, we have a couple severe thunderstorms out toward Elk City as well. And I believe you said, Taylor, you said the tornado warning's down by Dallas?
The severe thunderstorm.
The severe thunderstorm warning, okay. So no tornado warnings as of right now, just a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. And this is much more typical of what we're used to seeing in Oklahoma if you lived in Oklahoma for a long time. Some of these discrete supercells, as of the last couple of years, a lot of our storm systems have been lines of storms making their way across the state. And a lot of our tornadoes have been embedded in that rotation. We don't ever see them. We just feel them as they move through and then they move on right after. But these are more discrete, meaning that their chances for long destructive tornadoes is higher. Again, we're not guaranteeing any tornadoes as we head throughout the night, but the possibility is absolutely there. Joel, if we could zoom back in on these storms, please. And then again, looks like the hail core on that storm south of Chickasha looks to be intensifying. And then a lot of hail possible on the southern side of that Duncan storm. Now, Alexa, you have something over at the weather desk. Let's go over to Alexa.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that, Sam. Thank you for just bringing that up. So the most intense hail cores, one with the left split, that's going to be in Ninica right now. And then with that right split, you're seeing in Duncan. So just be sure to keep monitor of that because currently we're actively seeing those more intense hail core regions in those two areas.
Yeah, and I did misspeak. Someone did correct me. Thank you to that viewer. The destructive tag is the tornado emergency equivalent. So that just means you for sure need to be taking your severe weather precautions, just because you need to treat it like a tornado warning, because a destructive severe thunderstorm is going to cause just as much damage, if not more, than a possible quick spin up tornado. So just again, you need to make sure you are taking those severe weather precautions, especially if you're down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with that severe thunderstorm warning with that tag. Sam.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, and we're continuing to monitor these storms. Now, if you were with us about 30 minutes ago, we showed you a live view from our Weather Center cam. If we could get that pulled up, please. Taking a look outside, seeing what we got going on. We saw some lightning on those storms earlier. Now, as these storms have tracked further up, there you go. Perfect timing on that. We got some lightning lighting up the sky further toward the north, to our south and southwest. You can see a lot of that lightning already starting to form. And we're continuing to watch this as we continue throughout the afternoon and evening. Again, currently we have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings just to our south and west. No destructive tags on this as of now. We're also watching them spin. Now, Joel Robinson is going to join us on the wall. If we can go over to Joel and he can continue to walk us through this radar.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. As we were saying before, we have these cells that are splitting, and the cell to the north, the left split, as we like to call it, has the better chance to produce hail, and then the cell to the south has the better chance to rotate. So that explains why we do see a little bit of rotation with that southern cell and the tornado threat. We definitely have to watch for it for sure. Pretty decent hail core over Ninica right now. That severe thunderstorm warning it does continue for the southern part of Chickasha, Ninica, into Rush Springs, and hail is definitely a likely threat with this. Do we have a hail report in Ninica? Was it 1 inch potentially?
It just says falling now.
Okay, so we definitely see, and of course, as evident by the radar, we definitely have hail out there in Ninica. So if we can zoom out a little bit and maybe put this into motion, do we actually have can we time this out as it continues to move north?
Give me 1 second to grab that.
Sure thing. Yeah. So yeah, severe thunderstorm warning here, severe thunderstorm warning to the south. We're really watching this cell just east of Duncan for that tornado threat, and it looks like it's heading into Garvin County and could impact the town of Pauls Valley. Okay, perfect. Here we go. So we have a time on that. Okay, so it's heading in an easterly, east-northeast direction. Should be in Blanchard by about 10:09. Okay. So we have 45 miles per hour on that particular storm. Can we put that into motion? Okay. Cool. There we go. As it continues to head in a northeasterly track, should be in Blanchard by 10:03 p.m., Newcastle 10:13, and the Riverwind Casino at 10:15 p.m. So, Sam, you have something to add?
Yes. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are tracking a large hail threat. So if you haven't put your car in a garage, now would be a great time. Now, Aiden Bruns should be live from one of the parking garages on campus with the current conditions for parking. Aiden, what is it like in those parking garages?
Guys, I am out here in the Jenkins parking garage, and we've said that severe weather threat has mostly been a hail threat tonight. So with the Jenkins parking garage, if you're worried about your vehicles, I would definitely recommend heading over here because we're on the 5th floor and there are less than 10 vehicles parked out here. So there's definitely plenty of room. Other parking garages may be at a different level of being full, but here we're pretty good. We've seen a lot of lightning to our southwest where that storm is developing. And I know it's also a Saturday night, so lots of people probably going out and having plans, so definitely want to make sure that they're prepared for this. But I'll send it back to you guys for now.
Thank you, Aiden. One thing we just want to note, so Duncan, they saw a current high max of hail of 1.5 inches, and now they are also increasing the hail size for Stevens County. Joel, if you want to take a look at that on radar, they're increasing the risk for hail to 1.5 inches now. It was at 1 inches, I believe, before, and they have increased that.
And for those of you who don't know roughly what that size is, that is about ping pong ball sized hail. So just so you know, if you need that visual representation of what 1.5 inches is, about ping pong ball sized hail. Joel?
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, as she said before, ping pong ball sized hail falling in the vicinity of Chickasha and Duncan. We do have a little bit of a trim going on with the severe thunderstorm warning for Grady County. That includes Chickasha. So they did trim the warning a little bit. Can we switch it back to velocity, please? Thank you very much. Okay. Let's see. We're not really seeing much in the way of rotation here. Is that storm relative? Okay, let's go to storm relative, please. Okay. So, yeah, it's very, very hard to pick out here. Not really seeing a super defined area of rotation here, but still definitely worth monitoring. Again, that hail threat really increasing out there as these cells continue to split. Can we move over to reflectivity? Okay, cool. Yeah, you can see that those purple colors just east, or just north and east of Duncan, east of Marlow. That's where your hail. That's where the big hail is going to be falling right there. And it's heading into northeasterly track. Can we animate that real quick? Yeah, it's continuing to move east. It's going to be in Garvin County. It's actually entering Garvin County as we speak. So heads up for Garvin County. Excuse me. We definitely do have a hail threat coming in. Sam.
Yes. Joel, thank you. We do have a viewer question asking if it's going to impact campus. I would say the likely answer to that right now is yes. If we actually take a look at our weather center cam, you can see the sky is lighting up with lightning. Again, these storms continue to track up and toward the north and east. Now with the split, it could miss us just to the north, but I have to imagine as we have been continuing to track these, we will get some amount of storm with this storm.
And it was just updated that there is a thunderstorm warning that's going to be issued for the left split of the West Metro. So just be mindful of that. That's going to be coming out in the next few moments or so. And also in Chickasha, they were seeing quarter-size hail as that storm was moving in, but now they're seeing up to golf ball-size hail. So if you're in that area, be sure to stay weather aware and protect your car. Right now is actually the time to do so. Go out, and if you haven't moved your car already, because that storm is moving through Chickasha at the moment. Now back to you, Joel, on the wall.
Thank you, Alexa. Yeah, this definitely is a hail threat, as we kept saying, so definitely make sure you are moving your vehicles into shelters as soon as possible. Let's see. We'll go to this cell down here. Actually, let's zoom out a little bit, and we'll animate this a little bit too far. We'll go back a little bit closer, so we can just kind of see as it's kind of moving. We'll see the track as it goes kind of towards the Norman campus as well. Can we track that out as it continues to go into Norman, timing-wise? Judging by what I see, I would definitely say within the next 30 to 45 minutes, it'll be in the Norman area. So certainly be prepared. Okay, let's see. All right. So here's the locations here. Cole by 10:03, Riverwind Casino by 10:14, Lloyd Noble Center, as you can see, 10:18, as well as the National Weather Center. So coming in fairly soon. Definitely be sure to be prepared as this continues to head through. Now, tornado watch also continues through 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, so this severe threat will continue through into the overnight hours as well. So, you guys.
A new warning was just issued for Canadian, Oklahoma, McLean, Grady, and Cleveland County. And with that threat currently, hail of up to 1.75 inches and winds currently less than 50 miles per hour. But there is a chance for that storm to intensify. Joel, if you want to take a look at that closer on the radar and tell us what you see.
And again, just for those who are visual people, that is about golf ball sized hail. So again, just to get that little bit of a reference, so 1.75 inches is golf ball. So this, I wouldn't recommend hitting the tee with this one, just saying.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, everybody. So here's the new warning now. This is the polygon here. It's a very long polygon that includes part of the metro. It's just west of the Norman campus, actually, but it still encompasses parts of Cleveland County, just on the west side of Moore, Mustang, Tuttle. It's moving in this direction, and it does have the capability of producing large hail, 1.75 inches, and those damaging wind threats. The tornado threat does remain low on this, thankfully, but still, we still definitely have that threat for hail and damaging winds. Sam?
Yes, thank you, Joel. We have a viewer question asking if we think any of these storms could spin up near Oklahoma City and Norman. Taking a look at some of our software, we do see vorticity or possibility of circulation at the ground is sufficient to spin up storms. Again, we can't guarantee that they are spinning up, but once we get back to Joel on the wall, we'll take a look at velocity. I'm not going to say it's completely out of the question, but it also isn't guaranteed. As of right now, nothing is spinning, so we look to be on the side of no tornadoes here in the central portion of Oklahoma. Joel?
Yeah, Sam, and with also taking note that this is what we call a left split. They typically have the lower chance of producing a tornado as well, and as we can see on velocity, we're not seeing any evidence of rotation either, so that's a good sign. But still, a severe thunderstorm warning with a thunderstorm. We're talking about a thunderstorm that's producing 1.75 inch hail and 60+ mile per hour winds. So definitely those two hazards are still there. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that this will produce a tornado, but we'll continue to monitor this as we continue on through the night. Now, can we switch back to, we'll go back to reflectivity and then we'll animate this. Yeah, some nasty hail cores just west of Pauls Valley, and it's heading northeast as well. It's heading northeast. It could, yeah, it's heading into McLean County as we speak right now. This is the northern edge here. Can we zoom, or actually go down south a little bit further? Okay, yeah, that's a very nasty hail core right there, and a hail core just east of Chickasha, and that's where you see that warning that extends into the metro. Taylor, did you have something?
Yes, I do. Okay. So remember how earlier I did briefly mention how down in DFW that had that tornado emergency equivalent severe thunderstorm warning, that destructive tag. This severe thunderstorm warning that does include the Oklahoma City metro is that considerable tag that we were discussing. So that is equivalent to a PDS tornado warning. So you do need to be taking those severe thunderstorm precautions now in the metro. You need to start getting ready for a potentially damaging storm moving through the area. This has the potential to be upgraded as it moves into the area. Joel.
Real quickly, I'm going to hop on real quick. As we have mentioned several times, some of these supercells appear to be splitting. If we take a look at radar real quick, we can go back to Joel on the wall, but this cell by Chickasha appears to be splitting again. As Joel just mentioned, typically the right moving supercell is the one that will produce a tornado. Again, we can't guarantee a tornado, but let's go ahead and take a look at radar. You can see the cell is starting to split again, something to keep an eye on as this moves throughout the next little while. Joel?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Yeah, like you said, the northern part of the storm here, yeah, you can see where it splits there. Doesn't have a huge tornado potential here with that northern, that left split. Southern parts, the right split has the better tornado potential down there. But we're luckily not really seeing any signs of rotation. But let me just check one more time. Can we go to storm relative? Yeah, it's just very messy down there. Not really seeing too much in the way of rotation. Maybe some broad rotation here. Could we switch this back to reflectivity?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that could be a little bit, yeah, that could be a divergence there too. But yeah, it's going through Elick, and we can see that, hail core in there as well, and that hail core continuing to build to the northeast of Chickasha. I think we're still expecting 1.75 inch hail. That's roughly the size of a golf ball.
Yes, Joel, there is a large hail threat. The NWS has just mentioned that there is a large hail threat for the southwestern portions of the Oklahoma City metro area. So definitely keeping an eye on that as it's coming in and keeping track of that.
And just got a report that there is a rotating wall cloud on that southern part of that storm. So that right mover is starting to show more signs of increased tornado potential. There is a storm spotter out there that has reported to NWS that there is a rotating wall cloud on this storm. So again, just to make sure, both of these severe thunderstorm warnings do have that considerable tag, which you can compare to that PDS tornado warning. They all have the equivalent threat level. So again, just make sure you are taking those precautions as we go into the night.
And Joel, if you want to go ahead and take a look at reflectivity, it was just mentioned that sorry, I'll wait for you to pull that up. The system that is north of that right split near Purdy, that's going to have a new warning very shortly. And there's also a large hail threat with that. So be sure to keep a monitor of that as well, because it could just go south of us here in Norman.
And it looks like we'll flip back over to Joel on velocity. Go ahead and take that now. But it looks just to the west of Lindsay that the velocity is starting to spin a little bit more. It looks quite a bit cleaner. Go ahead and take Joel on the wall. We'll let Joel break this down, but right in the center of your screen is where we are seeing the possibility of rotation starting to begin.
Yeah, right here. It's kind of broad. The radar is up here, so you got winds coming here and going in this direction, winds coming into this direction. Kind of broad at this time, not very tight, but still worth noting here. And that southern cell, heads up Garvin County, heads up Lindsay, Elmore City, Pauls Valley. This has a rotating wall cloud. The storm is spinning around. There's no confirmed tornado at this time, but we know that this storm is spinning around and has that potential to produce a tornado. So heads up, again, Garvin County and just over in the Bray area as it continues to track in an east-northeasterly direction. So heads up, once again, for that tornado threat again, nothing confirmed at this time, but certainly something to worth monitoring.
And again, just to add, Joel, surface dew points are currently increasing with that storm, so that may aid in that tornadic development. So definitely keeping an eye on that rotation, because there is a possibility for a tornado to form with that storm. But currently we are tracking just that major large hail risk. That's our biggest threat right now, but there is a chance for that tornadic activity to come into play.
Well, thank you, Alexa. Yeah, we definitely, I mean, if to keep these storms going, it's going to need moisture, and that's continuing to move its way into central parts of Oklahoma, and that's how these storms are. These storms are continuing to move through the area. Let's see. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning that includes McLean County and southeastern parts of Cleveland County, including Purcell, Slaughterville, and south, just kind of moving into the Noble area as well. Do you guys have any information on that?
Yes, Joel, that, as you mentioned, I believe that severe thunderstorm warnings for Garvin, McLean, Cleveland, and Pottawatomie, hail up to an inch, wind speeds below 50 miles per hour. But, you know, we've tracked these storms for quite a while now. The hail cores on them all look pretty intense. Now, Scotty Allen joins us live from the parking garage. Scotty, do you have any updates for these storms from us?
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty calm out here right now. The winds are pretty calm. The trees aren't really moving, but the lightning is definitely picking up as they're coming closer to the garage. Where I'm out here at the stadium garage, there's not many cars in here, so if you have last minute need to get your car in the garage away from these hailstorms, the stadium garage is pretty empty. Come out here to put your car in the garage before going to your safe spot. And yep, it's definitely getting that those storms are pushing behind me, and we will definitely be coming inside pretty soon as these severe storms are approaching. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Scotty. Yeah, definitely a lot of lightning out there, and the more lightning a storm has, the more severe it is. So we're seeing a lot of evidence of lightning out there. So these storms are definitely in that severe category, and as we can see on our radar, we can see several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Again, that new severe thunderstorm warning that includes Purcell, Slaughterville, Noble, just south of Norman. It's just across Highway 77. And that's for this cell right here, and it looks like it has a hail core right here. And this cell right here, it has the better potential to produce what could be a tornado. It has that rotation in there. But again, as we keep saying all night, we have that hail potential that's going to be kind of at the top of our list here. We have hail up to ping pong ball size, and actually even golf ball size in some locations. So definitely a heads up, and make sure you are weather aware. Make sure you're weather aware, and definitely make sure you are taking those precautions this evening. Sam?
Yes, thank you, Joel. Coming down from the National Weather Center and the Storm Prediction Center just south of us here on campus, they have shown that for a large portion of central Oklahoma over the next couple of hours, our tornado threat could continue to develop. Again, we haven't seen any confirmed tornadoes or really a whole lot of rotation as of right now. That does not mean that threat is zero. It actually appears to be increasing over the next little while. We'll continue to keep our eye on that. Let's get back to Joel on the wall.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. Okay, so do we have a time on when this severe thunderstorm warning will expire? Okay. Okay.
You want the southern
expires one? Okay, the southern one, or the north? Yeah, this one right here. Okay, perfect. Yeah, 10:45 p.m. is when this goes to. Again, that includes parts of Garvin County, Cleveland County, McLean County, and the west part of Pottawatomie County. And that's for these cells right here. They're moving in a northeasterly track here. And just south of the Norman campus, we do have this cell that we're kind of watching for as well. That is expected to head into the Norman campus. This is not severe at this time, but surrounding areas here are severe warned with hail threats. So heads up there. This right here looks sub-severe. We're going to continue to monitor this as it continues to move into parts of McLean County and eventually into Cleveland County. Let's see. Do we have any hail reports? Any of the latest hail reports here?
No updated
Okay.
hail reports at the moment.
Okay.
The most recent was about 10 minutes ago, and that was in Stevens and Bray County of the 1.75 inch,
Okay.
as well as 1.75 inch in Chickasha as well.
Okay. So continue to expect that 1.75 inch hail threat You could definitely tell on radar those hail cores are definitely evident, even just on reflectivity. And then we can see our hail swath that we're definitely seeing very high likelihood of hail, and obviously it's confirmed that up to golf ball size hail is falling. Continuing to monitor many severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We got a cell coming into Tuttle, and that's going to head into the metro, and eventually into Canadian County and Oklahoma County, and into northwestern parts of Cleveland County as well, on the west side of Moore, and then Purcell, Noble, and parts of Cleveland County and McLean County. This is your guy right here, and that goes until 10:45 p.m. Let's time that out. They're moving in a northeasterly track at about 45 miles per hour. Again, this cell right here, it's not severe, but it is heading in for the Norman campus and definitely does deserve a little bit of attention there. So let's time everything out. Cole by 10:15, Riverwind Casino, 10:24 p.m. LNC, National Weather Center, by 10:27. So definitely take your severe weather precautions at this time while you can, okay? So again, we're looking at a large hail threat. Do we have a damaging wind threat as well, or is it sub-severe?
Sub-severe right now.
Sub-severe damaging wind threat, but I think the main threat here is going to be hail. The southern part of the southern parts of the storms going on right now have that tornado potential. Can we actually look at the southern cell here for tornado potential here? Again, this is not going. Okay, thank you. We're going to. This is actually not going to be impacting the Norman campus, but it will impact. If you know anybody in Lindsay or Pauls Valley, we have the potential. We have the potential to see a little bit of rotation. We're not really seeing it too much right now on the radar, but we are getting reports of a. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. This is the storm relative reflectivity. A little bit of rotation here. Again, the radar's up here. You got the winds kind of moving away and moving towards. And there was that report of a rotating wall cloud as well. So we're going to continue to monitor that. If you know anybody in Pauls Valley or Garvin County, give them a heads up that those severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect, and they also have the tornado threat as well. You guys have anything, any updates?
Yeah, let's toss it to the Weather Center cam real quick. We can see that lightning is just illuminating the sky. Earlier we saw that there was lightning just in the left part of the screen. However, now we're seeing our entire screen. This is the southwest storm that's coming towards us here in Norman, and you can just see the amount of lightning that's currently associated with that storm. It is just flashing so bright. Again, now let's take a look back at our reflectivity. We can see all these different areas of strong reflectivity. We're really keeping an eye on this one that looks like it's headed right towards campus. It's currently not warned, but we're going to continue to track that as we go over the next few minutes or so, because it looks like it's intensifying just a little bit. We can see these possible hail cores. We haven't had any updates in a few minutes, if that's correct, if I'm not mistaken, but there is definitely some hail, especially with these southern ends of storms. They're just going to keep producing hail. So if you're in that area, be sure to be mindful of that. And before it impacts you, be sure to put your car away and take precautions. Yeah, of course. I'm going to shift right over here so we can see these time slots. Sorry, we're going to be tracking Dibble. You're currently being impacted by these storms, and over the next 20 minutes or so, that's when we're going to see an impact. River wind, and that also the National Weather Center just around 10:30. So right now is the best time to take precautions because it is coming for us at the moment. Luckily, there's no warning coming for us at this moment, but there is that warning to our north and to our south, and that's going to push out Norman High School just around 10:45. Again, maybe let's take a look at some of our storm relative velocity down to our south. These hail cores look pretty intense. Okay, there's some maybe rotation down to that very southern part down there, but nothing crazy going on. Those northern storms, not any rotation apparent at this moment, but we can see there's that little bit just to our southwest here, but nothing that's going to be impacting us for the most part. That storm track is currently just going south of Norman. If we want to take a look back at reflectivity, Thank you. Okay, we can see some intensification with this storm here. I wouldn't be surprised if this does get a thunderstorm warning within the next few minutes or so. And it looks like there may be even some splitting again with that southern storm. This may be a left mover, and then down here may move a little bit to the northeast or to the right. If we want to zoom in on that, okay, we can see it starting to split just a little bit. And there is that rotation. You can see it in the reflectivity, but it doesn't look too, let's take a look. Okay, so it does look like to be splitting off just a little bit. It could be just trying to recoupling itself together, but it wouldn't surprise me if those storms do split, because that's actually what we've been seeing over the past hour. So these storms are continuing to intensify and then splitting from one another and then re-intensifying again. If you want to play that track one more time. Thank you. Yes, and it's tracking to our northeast again, and they're splitting a little bit even further in just in that few minutes that we've been taking a look. Okay, if we want to zoom back out just a little bit. Okay, this storm is already looking like it's going to our northwest at the moment, so it's going to be impacting more and possibly the southern metro at the moment. Again, this storm right here looks like it's going to be coming straight for us on campus, not currently warned, but we can see this track. It's going to push through the metro and most likely into Edmond over the next half hour or so. So I know a lot of students on campus are from that area, so be sure to take those precautions. If you're out driving, try to get home as soon as possible or to a safe place, because you do not want to be driving out in these large hail cores, heavy bands of rain, and strong wind gusts. And they're going to push to our northeast. And again, that storm's coming right for us for Norman, but this southerly one that's also producing those 1.5 or 1.75 inches golf ball sized hail is going to just to our southeast. So just keeping a track of those. Do we have anything over at the desk?
Not as of right now. Pretty much the same thing we've been watching the whole time. They did continue that severe thunderstorm warning for Garvin, Grady, and Stevens. That'll be the storms further down toward our south. I'm certain they're watching pretty much the same things as we are watching as well. We'll be sure to provide you with any updates as soon as we get those, but as of right now, pretty much sitting on the same information we've had for the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take it back to reflectivity, and I'm going to give you those times of when to expect it impacting the metro. So Will Rogers Airport, 10:23. So that's coming up pretty quickly within the next 10 minutes or so. I know now it's around 10:11 p.m. OCCC and Oklahoma City itself, that's going to be impacting you around that 10:30 mark. So we're seeing these storms are going to be impacting different areas around the same time. Like I said earlier, that storm that's just headed towards Norman, that's going to impact us here around 10:30. But at the same time, we're going to have to monitor that left storm that's going to our north. That's also going to be impacting Oklahoma City at the same time. If we want to take back a look down that southerly storm, I know we're still keeping an eye on that storm heading towards Norman, but I really want to take a look at this right here and see how it's moving and how it's splitting. So we can see that storm is still splitting, rotating. I want to take a look at velocity on there real quick. Okay, not much going on with velocity. We see this region right here, but nothing sticking out to me too crazy at the moment, because we can see this red is wrapped around that green, not really that differentiating between sides on that velocity. So going to switch back to reflectivity at the moment, but something to definitely keep an eye on as we're heading into, because like Joel mentioned, there is still that chance for that rotation to continue, and there is the chance for those dew points and such to aid in that tornadic activity. But currently that's not our threat for those northerly storms, but we will keep an eye on that southerly storm if we want to pop back up, to that northerly storm that's impacting the Oklahoma City metro and Norman. Again, we haven't had any hail threats within the last few minutes or so, so no hail reports at the moment, but definitely the reflectivity has weakened just a little bit. It's not that strong, vibrant pink in those northerly systems, but there is still a chance for some of those smaller regions to have some small hail. I'm going to throw it over to Joel at the desk. He has an update for us.
Okay, National Weather Service is saying that there's large hail in Tuttle. The largest hail threat is actually approaching Mustang as well. So if we can take a look at our radar, you can see the area of concern. Once again, Tuttle. You can see that that hail core, that kind of purpley color.
Please zoom into Norman, thank you.
Yeah, let's go right into Tuttle. That's where, if we look at Tuttle, that's where the largest hail threat is going to be. You can see that purple color in there, but we have large hail falling in Tuttle, and it's approaching the Mustang area as well.
Thank you, Joel. And yes, I was just talking about how it weakened, and you can already see how rapidly it's already increased. We're looking at our hail tracks, and again, that's just kind of bouncing off what Joel had said. You can see that track of hail impacting Tuttle now as that storm system is making its way. And we can see there was some hail left behind that system that's headed towards Norman, but there's also those potential hail tracks along with that southern storm. So definitely keeping an eye on that. Back to Joel. He has another update.
I have another update about the hail going into the metro. The hail threat continues to increase, and now we're up to 2.5-inch hail. So very large hail expected for the metro now.
Okay, thank you, Joel, for letting us know. That hail can be very, very destructive. So please get your cars and get yourselves in safety, because even if you are outside, maybe running in the house or something, and hail is coming down, it could just do some serious damage, not only to your car, your windows, and even to yourself. So be sure to be mindful of that and take that into account. Excuse me, thank you. All right, let's zoom back in on that Norman cell just to check it over here. I want to see if there's any increase in reflectivity. Okay, so we're not seeing those heavier bands of reflectivity, still in those darker shades of red, though. I wouldn't be surprised if the system does end up intensifying a little bit more and hail being associated with that. So just because there's no hail risk at the moment does not mean there won't be one. So while we have the time, can we see how much longer? I think it's about 15 minutes until it should impact our area. This is the perfect time. This is actually the last minute time you should be running out and taking those precautions if needed. So again, let's see if these times updated just a little bit. National Weather Center, okay, it stayed the same. The storm's moving at about the same speed. How fast did we say it was moving? Did it change from 35? Or is it
Still 35?
35. Okay, thank you, Sam. And yeah, impacting the National Weather Center, which is located on our campus around 10:30. So just keeping an update on that. Take those precautions because, again, it could get warned at any time. So we really want to take precautions for that in case it does and produces that larger hail that we're seeing with that northerly cell. If we want to go back to that northerly cell, and then in a minute we'll take a look at the velocity again for that southerly one. We can see reflectivity has increased just a little bit with that storm, so definitely associated with those larger hail cores that are currently impacting Tuttle. They're going to move into the Mustang area and impact portions of Oklahoma City and definitely drive up into Edmond. Want to go down to that southerly storm that we were talking about just to see if, oh, Taylor has an update at the desk. Please switch it to her. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Alexa. So just so you know, that tennis ball sized hail, about 2.5 inches, was reported by emergency management. So sometimes we do have to take other reports with a grain of salt. In this case, emergency management, we do take, as a stronger representation of this is what is actually occurring. All reports are welcome, yes. But so yeah, it is emergency management that is reporting tennis ball sized hail. So it is observed hail sizes that are this large, not just radar indicated. So what we see on radar might not be actually what is equivalent to what is happening. So just to keep that in mind, we are seeing larger hail actually fall than what is indicated from radar.
And if you actually look at radar right now, just to the south of Wayne, I have not seen this in a long time, but the radar is now black on reflectivity, meaning the particles it's hitting is so large that it doesn't even look like it's like rain anymore. So if we hop back over to Alexa on the wall, you can take a look at that radar scan.
Yeah, if you want to zoom in on that here. I don't think there have been any reports at the moment, but there's definitely going to be some very large hail reports associated with that. We can see this entire, oh yeah, you can even see how dark. So essentially the colors, it's the possibility of hail with pink and white being the lowest and black all the way to white again being the most extreme. We have not seen this all evening so far with that. So there is definitely some large hail going on in that area. If you are just west of Wayne, take cover right now and make sure your belongings and things like that are properly stored away because you are most likely getting downed with hail. And I'm sure we'll have an update or an image that comes up in a few minutes that will depict that. If we want to zoom back out a little bit, but definitely keep a monitor on that. So we can see this reflectivity band is one of the largest that we're seeing on these systems. So definitely this whole region is most likely seeing those hail ranging from that pea size all the way up to probably exceeding 2 inches at this point with that storm. And again, that southerly side, I want to take a look just back at that again. Thank you for going through that. Okay, want to just zoom in on the southerly storm when we get a sec. But I want to track to see how that storm has been splitting. If we want to go just to our south just a little bit more, it looks like now that storm is kind of merging a little bit more back together. It was splitting off before, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It's split pretty far apart, and now it's kind of trying to regroup itself and get back together and push off to the northeast as well. And if we want to zoom back out again, check that Norman storm that's coming in. It's going to be impacting us in about 10 minutes or so. Zoom in on that storm. Okay, it looks like it's weakened a lot. We can see that reflectivity has gone down quite a bit. We were seeing those darker reds before, and now we're seeing those more yellow orangey colors. So it looks like the storm may be weakening just a little bit, but still don't throw that out. And again, taking a look at our storm track, sorry if you want to throw it back on there, I can move over. Again, National Weather Center, 10:30 p.m. ETA for that storm, so hasn't really changed off by a minute than what we saw earlier. So still be mindful. Just know that a storm is coming your way. It's not warned, but anything could happen like we were talking about earlier. Want to zoom back out and then go to that northerly storm again where we were seeing those hail reports. Okay, we can definitely see our reflectivity has picked up quite a bit. Now we're seeing a larger band of that darker pink. And again, this track of hail is most likely, we can see it extending all the way up now, impacting the Mustang area. And that's only going to continue to go to our northeast. I'm going to throw it back over to Sam at the desk.
Thank you, Alexa. For that storm that just passed through Tuttle heading toward Mustang, that storm has a history of producing up to tennis ball sized hail. So it's definitely produced hail as it has moved through already. Something to keep in mind if you live on the western side of the Oklahoma City metro area. Definitely some large hail, continuing throughout the next little while. Alexa, if you want to actually go over to iNet, sorry, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. The skies appear to be filled with fire right now, lightning kind of all over the place. We give it just a second. Plenty of lightning to go with these storms as well on top of everything else. So definitely not safe to be out at any point today. Alexa.
All right, can we zoom back into Norman actually? I want to take a look at that since it's going to be impacting us within the next 10 minutes or so. Okay, so we could see those larger bands of reflectivity are starting to shift up into our area. You can see it's like very down here, those larger pink areas, and that's kind of shifting a little bit to the north and impacting in that area of where we're going to be seeing our storm. So again, that reflectivity, it's not showing hail at the moment, but it wouldn't surprise me if there is hail with this storm because we've been seeing it in all of the other storms so far. And again, impact time. So now Goldsby is going to be impacted in just a few minutes, 3 minutes, around 10:24, 10:25, and then it's going to impact the National Weather Center around again that 2:30 range and continue to push out. Norman High School expected to be impacted after campus just about 5 minutes after and push off to Norman North High School just around 10:40. So that's going to be within the next 10 to 15 minutes where that storm's coming through. If you're outside on campus driving around, be sure to get home or get to a safe place because even though there's no active hail like we were talking about or active tornado threat, you definitely want to be cautious because heavy bands of rain can definitely lead to some flooding. Even though we talked about earlier that wasn't our main risk, but there's still a chance for flood to pool. I'm going to throw it back to Sam. He's at the desk.
Sorry about that. No updates as of right now, but definitely not safe to be out as of right now. Get into your house or into a sturdy shelter. You want to be on the lowest floor in the center of the building. Even if it's not a tornado, hail can cause a lot of damage. Honestly, sometimes even more than tornadoes can, and the amount of hail and the size of it, definitely do not mess with this tonight.
And may I interject just a little bit? So this system is associated with a dry line and with a cold front. So dry line is where you have your moist and your dry air on two separate sides. Your cold front is your normal warm air on one side, cold air on the other. So as of right now, we're seeing that cold front start to sag into Oklahoma, and we are starting to see a line of storms form along with this. So this will be a threat later into tonight. So we do have this first round of storms moving through the metro right now, but we do need to start paying attention to that line of storms that is kind of forming off over to our north and to our west. Alexa.
Thank you, Taylor. And sorry, Sam, I thought you were calling me over there. But okay, I want to zoom back into that system because it looks like that Norman cell is merging back with that southerly line. So I really want to take a look at that. It looks like that storm is essentially eating that other smaller system and it's becoming more of a signified line. And again, that reflectivity is increasing right a bit just south of us in Noble, and it's pushing to the northeast. So it looks like we might just get scraped and get some heavier bands of rain here on campus, but everywhere south of that, it looks like that hail core is getting extended pretty far. And just all the way up from Wayne all the way up to near Noble. It looks really like that reflectivity is very strong, and there could be some strong hail associated with that. And again, that reflectivity is weakening a little bit as it's impacting, coming to impact Norman. So we can see that reflectivity is kind of going and feeding into that line of storms and weakening a little bit. We're seeing more of those orangey and yellow colors, so those little bit less stronger bands of rain, and that few regions of red. That's where we're going to see that heavier band of rain. Yeah, of course. All right, so we're just continuing to track this storm. It's going to be ETA in about 5 or 10 minutes or so on the Norman campus. We're going to continue. I want to see the time again. Sorry if you're going to pull that up, the storm tracks, because it's just pushing on Cleveland County right now. So I want to see if there's been any change in the times. Okay, so Lloyd Noble Center, 10:27. That's in about a few minutes from now. So this storm is almost already here. If we want to take a look at the Weather Center cam, really quick, we can see that storm is coming in. There's strong bits of lightning flashes completely illuminating the sky and being picked up on the Weather Center cam. So that's impacting, that storm is coming right now and pretty much going to be on top of us within the next minute or so.
All right, thank you, Alexa. So we're going to take a quick look. We are seeing those more intense colors down near Goldsby. We are going to start seeing some precipitation here in Norman around the OU campus here in the next couple minutes. If you aren't already seeing it fall right now with that little bit of drizzle, we do see those outer rain bands kind of moving into the area. A little bit of higher reflectivity right in here, just starting to get to the OU campus right around, right in there. Thank you, around West Lindsay. So like kind of in between Maine, Lindsay, right in there. That is where we're starting to see that heavier rain. But if we can zoom out a little bit, thank you, that'll work. So yeah, we have the LNC, we have that heavier band of rain coming in right now, right along Highway 9. So you can just kind of see that. So we could possibly even see some, smaller hail associated with this, anywhere sub-severe, so less than an inch. So again, less than an inch can still cause damage to your vehicle and to yourself. So do make sure you are still taking your severe weather precautions at this time. And, make sure you're inside. Stay away from windows. Even though this is not currently severe warned, it still can cause damage. Can we quickly zoom out a little bit to get a broader scope of what is going on? Thank you so much. Okay, so we still have that northern storm up, moving into Oklahoma City. That is still most likely hail. You have a hail threat with it. So again, we do have those pinks associated with it. So again, larger hail is most likely associated with that storm moving into the Oklahoma City metro. That is most likely going to be impacting the Tinker Air Force Base as well as the airport. Now let's take a quick look at our Weather Center cam once again, just because we are having that heavier band of precipitation move into the region. So once again, yeah, look at that lightning flashing like crazy. Some people are probably getting wonderful storm pictures. Feel free to post those. We'd love to see that, as long as you are doing it safely. Please make sure you are being safe above all else. If you can safely get a picture, we'd love to see it. Now, of course, we do see that moving closer into the area. Again, possibly some smaller hail is associated with this. If you are out driving, please, as we do see some people are on Highway 9 right now and on Lindsay and on Boyd. That is Jenkins, my apologies. That's, yeah, sorry about that. That is Jenkins. So yeah, people out driving around right now, just make sure you are driving safe, being more safe, slowing down a little bit, making sure you are being extra cautious, just so that way you don't crash. Again, that is a possibility. Now we actually are seeing some possible hail down in Noble. So right on that northern edge of that warning box, if we can move a little bit south just to get a better picture of that. Wow, okay, so we are seeing those likely hail down near Wayne and Purcell. Farther north, it is a little bit less likely, but it is still a possibility. So again, up near Noble, we are likely seeing some possible hail, and then down as you travel farther down along I-35, larger hail is most likely associated with that. Zooming out again, we can even see that hail swath moving up into the Oklahoma City metro. We can actually even see some hail associated with these storms over in Weatherford. This is associated with the line with that cold front that could possibly be moving into the area later. That'll pose a risk later in the evening. Sam?
Yeah, I just want to mention, we do have this isolated threat happening right now that's making its way through. Thankfully for us here in Norman, it looks to just be some rain and lightning. But those storms are starting to form off toward the west as those move their way across the state. Could see some more hail, some damaging winds definitely going to be possible. Now our tornado threat will decrease, but over the last couple of years, we probably had 20 or 30 tornadoes across central Oklahoma that have come from storm setups like what we're seeing out west. So it's not something that's just, our severe threat is not just going to decrease once these storms move through. Taylor?
Yes, thank you, Sam. As he said, we have plenty of experience with overnight tornadic activity with lines of storms. Recently, our friends in Ada had that experience a few weeks ago. So we do know that this is still a possibility as that tornadic threat continues into the night. And of course, we have Sam, is that a report?
I know.
We're actually going to take the Weather Center cam. My apologies, I misunderstood that cue. We're actually going to continue to look at that storm as it's starting to move into the area. Those heavier rain bands are starting to get closer. We are starting to see the reds on the radar, so heavier rain, possibly some smaller sized hail crossing over Highway 9 right now. OU campus starting to see some oranges and some reds. So once again, you are probably seeing that heavier rain, possibly some hail, and lots of lightning associated with it as well. Lightning is an indication of storm strength. So once again, the more lightning you see in a storm, the likely of how strong it is. So it's a decent indicator of that storm strength. Now, of course, we can, we actually do see a little bit of pink down near Imhoff Road. So that right there, it's really small, but it's there. So we could possibly be seeing, heavier rain, possibly even some larger sized hail in that little area. So we could actually be seeing some intensification as it's starting to move off over to our east. So of course, again, we might have just dodged a bullet here directly on the Norman campus. However, it is still moving into the area. So again, yeah, those reds and those oranges, we are still seeing, heavier precipitation. We could possibly even see, anything below severe standards, so less than an inch. So quarter size or less associated with this for those who do need that visualization. So it looks like we are still right in that middle of that heavier band of rain with a discrete system moving through the area. If we can zoom out just a little bit, please. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're kind of right in that center area. You can see just where it starts to go back into the yellows or to the greens. Excuse me, that is near not Weatherford, that is near the Riverwind Casino. So this heavier band of rain is starting to move its way out of the Norman area, but we do have that risk that is associated with that line of storms, which would bring us hail and wind threat as we go into the night. Cannot rule out that tornado threat as well, like we have said, but as we are talking right now, again, we are still seeing, that chance for smaller sized hail and heavier rain. For our friends down in Noble, for those who might not be living in Norman, living just slightly to the south, we could actually still be seeing some larger sized hail. They are still in that severe thunderstorm warning. What sized hail is associated with that?
I believe that would be 1 1/4 inch.
1 1/4. Can I get an indication of what that would be visually?
Yeah, that would be around $half size.
$half. So for those of you who have seen a $half before, I know they aren't exactly very common anymore, but yeah, for those of you who have seen a $half, it is about that size. That is roughly what the size of hail that we are expecting in this warning area. So lots of warnings, they actually issue them with their max threshold. They typically they're like, hey, this is the, what we expect to see with this system, and they're expecting to see anywhere up to that $half sized hail. So again, our friends in Noble could possibly be seeing that, and it is starting to move out of that area. You can actually see those greens. It's getting closer to I-35, Highway 77. Yeah, it's starting to move out of the area. We still have those reds and those oranges on top of downtown Norman and on the OU campus. Max Westheimer Airport still experiencing, that stronger rate, possibly that smaller sized hail. Down near Slaughterville, I'm going to move back over just so that way you can see it a little bit. Most likely seeing that that larger hail down there where you can see those brighter colors. That is where it is more likely. So again, just where that higher color, those pinks, those dark reds, that is where we are likely seeing that stronger, more robust hail sizes. If we look to the north a little bit, just that way we could get the Oklahoma City area, just a quick look. Thank you. Oh, we're over to Watonga now. Okay, we're back to Oklahoma City. It's okay, we can jump around a little bit. It's perfectly fine. Thank you. All right, so yeah, we still have that decent hail core just south of Bethany. So again, larger hail is still moving through the Oklahoma City metro. Yeah, we are starting to see some blacks in there. That means that the hail is likely in that area. So what is the hail size on that one?
I don't believe we have a confirmed report from that one.
Not at the moment, no.
I know earlier it was, I think they, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was up to 2.5 inches of hail.
Yes, they did
Size
confirm
hail.
2.5 a little
Previously, yes.
further south. I think the recent reports have been about 1.5 inches. So roughly, what is that? A little less smaller than a ping pong ball.
So
Ping
yeah,
pong ball
about
hail.
ping pong ball sized hail is associated with this going through the northern part of the Oklahoma City metro. So again, we are
Actually,
still.
we just got an update. I'm sorry to cut you off, Taylor. Pea-size hail in Bethany right now at this current time.
So yeah, they're even just outside that little pink swath that we have on here. So they're even starting to see hail, and it's starting to move up into that area. So yeah, they are still in that. They're still outside that pink blob. For some of you who don't exactly know what to call that, that little hail core right there. Yeah, we are starting to see, those colors. They are currently in the red. If we can zoom in a little bit, just that way I could get a little bit finer detail on that, that'd be fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, so yeah, we have those pinks. It is starting to move up into the area just north of that interstate. Is that I-40? Cool, thank you. Again, I'm still getting used to the road system. It's okay, we're fine. So yeah, we do have those higher pinks in there. So yes, we are most likely experiencing heavier rain as well as possibly, that larger hail. There are the reports of pea-sized hail, and they're only in the yellows and the oranges right now. So again, that even though that is not as indicative of hail, it is still showing us that they are possibly, you can still possibly see that larger hail. Zooming back down into Norman, it is starting to move out of the Norman metro. So again, we are still in the oranges and the yellows, so we're probably still experiencing some heavier rain, but it is starting to move out of the area. OU is now in the green, so again, the rain is most likely let up a little bit. We do not recommend going outside yet. It still looks like, the lightning is still popping off. If we want to take a quick glance at the Weather Center cam, just to double check that reasoning, please. Weather Center cam.
Yes, can we take, there we go. Well, not yet.
Thank you. So yeah, still not safe to go outside. We still have a lot of lightning going on. And of course, just again, even as this storm system is moving out, we still want to take our severe weather precautions as it goes through the area. And again, just make sure you're staying weather aware as the night continues and as that line of storms that is expected to move through later tonight. Just make sure you're staying weather aware as that gets closer.
Yes, thank you, Taylor. Again, plenty of rain and lightning to go around with the storm. Let's zoom in a little bit tighter on Norman if we can, please. Most of the heavy rain has already made its way out of Norman. It's definitely not affecting campus anymore. Again, still a little bit of lightning, I think, from our Weather Center cam. If I'm looking off to my side to look at it. Maybe a little bit of rain still coming down, pretty light at this point. So as of right now, our severe weather threat is not over, but it has decreased. If we could zoom out and take a look at the entire state of Oklahoma. I believe there should be a button at the top that could, there you go. So still plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings along the I-35 corridor. Again, another severe warning for the western portion of the Oklahoma City metro, but we are starting to watch this line of storms start to develop along I-40. If we could zoom in on those real quick for me. This is forming off of the cold front, and as I mentioned earlier, this is more typical over the last 2 or 3 years that I've been here. These are the type of storms that we have seen, a line of storms making their way across the state. You can see an east-northeasterly flow to these, so probably going to track right along I-40 toward the northern portion of the Oklahoma City metro area. But if this line continues to develop further to the south, our severe threat is going to continue throughout the night. So we're going to take a little bit of a break here, continue to keep an eye on these storms out toward the west, get ourselves a little bit of coffee ready to go for round 2. I suggest you do the same. Now, our severe threat isn't completely over as of right now, but we will continue to monitor this over the next hour and a half or so. Something to keep an eye on, of course, hail threat with this, strong damaging winds will also be likely. As I mentioned, we'll continue to keep our eye on this. If we want to flip back over to our Weather Center cam, you can still see some lightning on that. Plenty of rain to go around. Another round will be coming up shortly. And as we continue throughout the next few months, severe weather like this should be pretty common, is going to be commonplace for us here in central Oklahoma. Of course, if you'd like to sign up for Weather Call, if we can get it posted for just $1 a month, you can scan the QR code on your screen. You can get an alert, a text message, anytime we have severe weather threatening us here in central Oklahoma. That's going to do it for us as of right now. Again, we're going to keep our eye on those storms out to the west, and we'll be sure to hop back on as soon as it warrants it. Thank you for joining us, and stay weather aware. We'll catch you in a little bit.